Okay. Alright. So, here's what I'm looking at right here. I just posted a video. No, I'm still streaming. I know I'm streaming. Alright, so I'm on 15 of 20. They do 20 question increments, but the test is like 70 questions. So, yeah, this is everything that I'm studying. Just trying something new. So the question is, when using nitrogen to pressure leak test a system, the nitrogen cylinder should always be equipped with what device or feature? Probably a pressure regulator. I'm guessing on that because I'm not really smart when it comes to reefer engineering stuff. What is true concerning frost buildup on the evaporator coils of a multi-box directional expansion refrigeration system? So, so you see, this is how many times I've answered the question today. How many times I've seen it. So, if it's one, or if it's a multi-box direct expansion refrigeration system, you can remove the frost by passing hot gas through the coils or energizing defrost heaters while the compressor is shut down. It has to be the evaporator fan has, or sorry, I got confused. So frost can be removed by passing hot gas through the coils or energizing defrost heaters with the evaporator fan shut down. How can the loss of residual magnetism in an alternator or generator be corrected? You can actually use a storage battery or battery charger to flash the field. Okay, now I can see. Paints and solvents used aboard a vessel should be returned to the paint locker after use because they're toxic materials and they could cause fires. Which of the following conditions will occur if the power element of the thermostatic expansion valve shown in the illustration loses its charge? So, if it loses its charge, what's going to happen is the valve will fail, but it's going to be open and no cooling capacity. It's going to fail open and the cooling... Oh, shit, I got that wrong. It will fail closed, yeah, and provide no cooling capacity. The use of a needle valve in a piping system is recommended when requiring close regulation flow. If you don't know a needle valve, you can turn it slightly and it'll amp up the pressure or decrease the pressure. And you can do it. If you do a big turn, it'll be a big increase, or if a decrease, or vice versa. Let's see the missed questions. I only have two. The air temperature associated with a direct reciprocating air conditioning plant is found to be too warm, and the compressor is not operated. A service check determines the compressor's suction pressure to be above normal, the normal cut-in point, with a normal head pressure and high evaporator superheat. Which of the following could be the cause of this problem? I think it... Dang. The low pressure control contacts are stuck open. Okay. I don't get it, but I gotta remember that's the answer there. Shut up. Which of the following conditions... Oh shit, I viewed it wrong again. Stop it. I didn't mean to do that. I was trying to close this. The air temperature, so the low pressure control contacts are stuck open. That's the answer. Okay. Which of the following conditions will occur if the power element... The... Yeah, no cooling capacity. So I can retake that again, just so I can bring up my score, which I'm doing. And it helps me remember these answers for these questions, because that's all I gotta do. Okay. Let's do another test. Basically, a magnetic amplifier is a saturable core reactor with the addition of what additional feature? Magnetic amplifier. Okay. I think it has a rectifier in the load circuit, though. Yeah. Yes, I remembered that. It's been a while since I've done electrical stuff, but I can do it. Which of the following statements is true concerning the valve shown in the illustration? Alright, well, let's look at the valve. Ah! So, this is a gate valve. The way this valve works is you're going to turn that stem right there, and it's going to suck that gate up into this groove to allow fluid to pass through. Now, normally a gate valve, the stem would be all the way through, even to here where you have your normally you would have your valve packing right there, and that's what keeps the liquid that's in here from going up and out of the valve and leaking out. And you have a seal here, and you have 4 bolts on each side, and those 4 bolts are tightened down to create a mechanical seal, so you can actively, have liquid or steam going through, because you can do steam, liquid, oil, waste, all that kinds of stuff. So the question is asking, and I said normally the valve stem would go up, but the way this works is the valve stem is just gonna go right there, and it's just gonna dig into that and bring that up. So the answer to this question is the valve stem is a non-rising stem design. A direct current passing through a wire coiled around the soft iron core is known as what? That's an electromagnet. Leaking suction valves in a refrigeration compressor are indicated by which of the following? Higher than normal suction pressure. Wire external shunt, sometimes used with ammeters. They are to prevent damage to the meter movement from heat generated by the internal shunt. Internal shunt. Can't read. Which of the following statements is true concerning the valve shown in the illustration? I haven't seen this one yet. Again, it's the same question, but you can get that on the test. The Coast Guard can print double questions on your test. Which of the following statements concerning nickel-cadmium batteries is true? Now, nickel-cadmium batteries are what everybody uses nowadays, if it's not a wet cell battery. Now, if it's a wet cell battery, it's not a acid. It's not an acid battery. Those are dangerous. These are nice because it's a gel. It's an electrolyte gel, and you got your two poles inside, and the gel can last longer than a water cell. So what's happening here? There's no you can't replace the electrolyte. You can't open the battery, period, because it's toxic. The state of charge cannot be determined by specific gravity. So yes, because in acid lead batteries and water cell batteries, you have to take specific gravity readings, and that tells you what state your battery is in for each little cavity inside the battery, because each cell, not cavity, but cell of the battery is what holds the electrical charge of that battery. But this is the answer. See? I can explain shit. Kind of. To prevent motor overloading during startup of a hermetically sealed centrifugal refrigeration system, what is true concerning the compressor's suction valves? Suction gas variable inlet guide vanes. Excuse me. The answer is C. Closed until the motor is connected across the line at full voltage and current drawn is below full load current. What is the maximum volume to which a refillable refrigeration cylinders should be filled? 80%. You have to keep 20% for expansion of the gas. Which of the fluids listed is suitable for use as a secondary refrigerant? Brine. Brine is just what it is. It's salt water. You have copious amounts of it out in the sea, and you can use it. An arrow stamped on the valve body of a water regulating valve indicates which of the following? That would be the direction of the flow. So because you can't see through your pipe, so you can't see which way your liquid's flowing. And it's not like a water hose. You gotta know, because these pipes are everywhere around the ship. An evaporator coil of a single evaporator air-cooled refrigerator is accumulating excess frost due to a failure of the defrost mechanism. If the refrigerator features a thermostatically controlled box solenoid and a low-pressure cutout controlled compressor as well as a high-pressure cutout, in terms of the compressor, what would be the most likely operating symptom? It's short cycling on low pressure cutout. And I deduce that's just because one of a of a refrigerator system. If it was more than one, I think it'd be your short cycle on your high pressure cutout. I think. I'm not sure. Not 100% here. Like I said, I wasn't a reefer engineer. If you are, please let me know why this is in the comments below, because it'll help me study for this test. The first thing to do to ensure that a refrigeration unit will not start while undergoing repairs is to do what? This is in any factory setting for any type of machinery, whether it be military, civilian, for any type of machinery that has moving parts that can mangle or kill you or burn you or shock you or anything that has to do with electricity and moving parts and electricity. I can't state this enough. You have to secure and tag out the electrical circuit. There's no getting around that. If you work on machinery and you don't tag it out, you're gonna have a bad day. Just saying. Universal motors will operate on AC and DC current. In what application is this type of motor generally? I believe it's portable tools. A coolant is usually used when cutting metal in a power hacksaw to prevent the blade from overheating. Because once it overheats, it's going to split apart. How may chattering of the collector/slip ring brushes on the generator be remedied? Well, you're going to have to clean the collector rings with a canvas wiper. Canvas wiper is just it's a special kind of rag that won't like break apart or anything like that. So you don't get like little fibers stuck inside the wiring and moving parts to cause fire or, more chattering, because chattering electrical equipment is bad. What will be the resulting current when a voltage of 110 volt DC is applied to a resistance of 32 ohms in figure A? Now let me explain what this is. You only have one resistor in the circuit, right? So what you do, you take 110 and you're going to divide it by your 32 ohms. And your current is going to be 3.437. Well, you got to round that little 7 or that 3 up because of the 7. So it's 3.44 amps. Basic electrical theory right there. Which of the following statements is correct for the illustrated circuit of figure B? Alright, so these are in series. These are in series. So the correct answer is R1, R2, and R3 are not in parallel, they're connected in series. I just said they're in series. Fucking test. It's okay, I can go back and correct it. With a service gauge manifold set connected to a refrigerant compressor as shown in the illustration, which arrangement of the gauge manifold set valves and compressor service valves would allow for simultaneous reading of the compressor's suction and discharge valve or pressures? So we're looking at this illustration right here. So what needs to happen? You actually have to close these 2 and 5. Then you have to look at 1 and 6. And you have to unseat them so you can look. Because this right here is your compressor. So you're going to be looking at the whole system. So 2 and 5 both closed. Along with 1 and 6 cracked open off their back seats. That's the answer. A low-velocity fog applicator is held in an all-purpose nozzle. by a bayonet joint. The applicator, this is firefighting, the applicator is prevented from rotating in the joint by a spring-loaded latch is what keeps that little bayonet down into the groove from you moving to fog, V nozzle, and continuous stream. Oh, I'll be right back. Okay. Coming back. This is what I've been doing all morning from like 7:30 to now. Which of the following statements is correct? I've already explained why this is correct, but they are connected in series. I can do one more test and then I'll stop streaming for now. And then I'll eat my lunch and then I'll come back. Alright. So this one. I already know the answer. It is 1 and 4 and 6. But basically, what you're going to do what it's asking is, as shown in figures B and C of the illustration, what should be the switch position and which test lead terminal jack should be used if your intent is to measure direct current anticipated as high as 200 milliamps. Alright, so in B, what you're going to put it on, you want direct current, so you need switch position 6, which is milliamps, DC, and that's amps, direct current. And then you're going to put it on 1 and 6 or 1 and 4, because you want you're reading up to 200 milliamps, so you want to, if you go over 200 milliamps, that's okay. And comment. Okay. The motor fails to start on an attempt to start up. With the button pressed, a voltmeter reading between 1 and 5, as illustrated in figure A, indicates line voltage available to the current to the control circuit. What should be your next step in the troubleshooting process? So this is a electrical schematic. It's a simple one. Super simple. So what they're talking about when you look at the schematic, you're putting one lead here and you're putting one lead here, and you're reading the line voltage off of this, and this. So you're getting 120 or 440 or 210. something's wrong down here. So you're tracing this. There's T3, which is lead 3 of the motor. And you're looking at that, and you're looking at that, right? But here, there's an overload right here. So what you got to do, you got to attempt to reset the overload. And you have to do this right there, overload, right there, right there, right there. If that's open, you're not going to get your line to a voltage. So you got to reset your overload. And if it's not the and if it was the overload and your motor starts, then you got to determine the cause of the overload if applicable. This sound powered telephone circuits. Everything it's like the old 1950s string on the can. Two cans tied together with a string where you can talk to each other. This is that principle right here, just in multiple circuits, because you have these little phones all around your engine room, right? So the question is, in the system shown in the illustration, the engine room station is unable to signal any other station, nor is any other station able to signal the engine room station. The engine room station can, however, ring itself by proper positioning of its selector switch. What is the most common probable cause of this problem? So, the engine room can ring itself, but none of these other rooms can ring the engine room. Now, this is a little hand generator, and that little hand generator is for a bell. And you have this little selector switch, right? And each of these little numbers represents a circuit. And each of these circuits goes to another sound-powered telephone. Well, what's happening is you can ring yourself by selecting your circuit on the dial, but nobody else can reach you. So there's a problem right here. Right here. So the answer is there's an open between the terminal C of the problem station and the common wire, the multi-conductor cable, to the other stations. And that's the answer. What statement is true in reference to reading electrical motor controller elementary diagrams? The circuit subject to... No. There's nothing with 500 volts. It doesn't matter how many volts you have. This is the same for all. The current paths in the control circuit are drawn, and the power circuits, I believe it's A or C. Yes, it was A, because it's your current paths, and then your dotted lines are your control circuits. Which of the following statements concerning nickel-cadmium batteries is true? See, we got this question again. You can't use specific gravity to tell you how the charge is. A coolant is usually used... Yep, see, we already had that question again. When troubleshooting AC alternating current motors, what can a portable growler be used to locate? Shorted stator coils. That's generators. The simplest method to use for determining if a centrifugal pump is operating as designed is to So this is a pump, right? This is general knowledge. Centrifugal pump is a pump that has an impeller blade. And what that blade does is as it spins, you have your incoming liquid. It's spinning, it's sucking that liquid in, and the blades are bent to force the liquid out. So the way that you check if it's spinning right, if it's spinning clockwise instead of spinning counterclockwise, if it's sucking, is you close off the discharge valve and watch for a rise in pressure. That's what you do. Which of the fluids listed is suitable for use as a secondary refrigerant? We've already had that question. I have. If the illustrated device in figure B has a step-up ratio of 10 to 1, what voltage would be measured at the secondary shortly after the primary of the device is connected to 110 volts DC with a current of 12 amps? So the way we're looking at B, right? Way a step up and step down transformer works is you're going to have one coil, then you're going to have two coils, or this is what's known as a step up transformer. Now if you're missing a coil, see how this one only has two that are wound and going that way, and then three wound going that way? That is a step down transformer. This is step up, step down. That is not a transformer because you have three windings, and then you have three windings. So you're going to get 0 volts. The gas that exists in the stratosphere, forming a protective shield that helps to protect the environment from the harmful effects of ultraviolet radiation, is called what? The ozone layer. What will be the resulting current when a voltage of 110 volt DC is applied to the resistance of 32 ohms? We've already done the math. What is the characteristic of a wound rotor induction motor with maximum rheostat resistance inserted into a rotor circuit during starting? Let's see. Inserted into the rotor. You're going to have relatively low starting torque and probably a high starting torque and a low stator current. Okay, missed one. At a minimum threshold, how many milliamps of current through the body produces a painful sensation that most people would perceive as an electric shock? 3 to 7 milliamps. Oh boy. I know that one already. In an air conditioning system, low discharge head pressure associated with a reciprocating compressor can be the result of what condition? Probably it's the leaky suction valves. Got it. If the alarm provided in the fixed CO2 system sounds in the engine room, you should leave the space immediately. You only have like 60 seconds to get out of the engine room. Something like that. Constant superheat is maintained at the evaporator coil outlet of a refrigeration system or a unit by the action of what device? Constant superheat. Probably by your thermal expansion valve. If it has to do with heat, it's thermal. Which of the following is not a treatment for traumatic shock? Keep the patient warm but not hot. Massage the arms. Massage the arms. In combination, if the combination moisture indicator and sight glass indicators and an accumulation of moisture within the system, which of the listed procedures? Okay, so close the king valve, pump down the system, isolate the dryer, and remove the desiccant core and replace with a new dryer cartridge. That is correct. Alright, what is the characteristics? So it's, yep. You got a leaky suction valve. Next question. Massage the arm. Bam. Whoop, whoop, whoop. There we go. Okay, that was kind of cool. I kind of streamed that. I just wanted you to have a peek and see what I'm actually doing if I'm not streaming. But alright. Hopefully I'll pass these tests the week after next. Hopefully. Hopefully. But I'll be back to stream here in a little bit. I'm gonna stream some Final Fantasy.